Hey guys, Jason Christie here. Welcome to Michiana Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about how I determine on my electronics what's a bass, what's a drum, and all this kind of stuff. We get this question a lot. Looking at your screen, how do you know it's a bass? I personally, and I've been doing this a long time, and I've had great electronics for a long time, it's hard for me to look at an image, whether it be in side view, clear view, on live scope, and say, okay, that's a bass by looking at the picture. How I determine it, what the fish is how they act, how they relate to the bottom, how they relate to cover. For instance, if I'm out on a ledge at Kentucky Lake and I scan out there and I see, the fish are really tight and they're stacked up really strong, typically those are white bass, those are crappie, something like that. You see these at, my belief is a largemouth bass, even smallmouth, they want to be together, but they want their personal space, and it's how they relate to the bottom and how they relate to bait and things like that. And it's funny because what you may see on one lake, I may be like, all right, I'm starting to figure this out, these bass are underneath bait. You may go to the next lake, pull up, see bait, and there's fish underneath it, and it may be gar or something like that. So typically what you find on one lake in one creek, you go to another area, a lot of these fish will set up the same way. So it's all how they relate to structure, it's all how they relate to bait, and once you learn it for that day, you can typically carry it the rest of the day. And you may see after a front, the next day they may act a little bit different, but it's not what they look like in the image. It's how they set up on structure and how they set up on bait. That's how I tell the difference between a bass, and all the other fish in the lake.